All manipulation begins with a weakness. You want to be accepted. When you crave recognition, you open the door for others to step in. They know you want to be praised. They know you fear being disliked. They use that to pull you like a puppet. The world doesn't play fair. People don't care how good you are. They care how easily you can be controlled. If you always aim to please, you've already chained yourself. That chain is the need to be liked. It's what makes you predictable prey. Machiavelli saw this clearly centuries ago. He wrote about a cold truth. A ruler cannot be swayed by weak emotions. Better to be feared than loved. The love of the crowd is fragile and fickle, but fear endures. Stop and look at yourself. How many times have you acted just to be praised? How many times have you agreed just to avoid upsetting someone? How many times have you faked happiness just to keep their approval? Each time, you lose a piece of your power. You trade your freedom for a glance of recognition. And others, though they don't say it, see that weakness. They know which buttons to press to control you. If you want to be untouchable, you must kill that need. When you don't need to be liked, you cannot be bribed. When you don't need praise, you cannot be controlled. When you don't need agreement, you cannot be played. In this video, I'll expose how people are led astray just because they want to be liked. And more importantly, I'll show you how to kill that need so you can become free, cold, and untouchable. Part 1. The root of weakness, the need for acceptance. Every weakness has a root. The greatest root is the need for acceptance. From a young age, you were taught to be obedient. You were praised when you pleased your parents. You were punished when you defied them. That reward and punishment mechanism sank deep into your mind. You grew up with an unspoken truth. If you're praised, you're safe. If you're criticized, you're cast out. And the fear of being cast out becomes a shadow that follows you through life. That's why people strive to please, not because they want to, but because they're afraid. They fear being hated. They fear being abandoned. They fear losing their place in the group. Modern society only makes this fear more sophisticated. A like button, a compliment, a look of approval, all become doses of medicine for a starved psyche. But every dose comes at a cost. The more you crave, the more you depend. And all it takes is for someone to withhold that recognition, and you crumble. Look at the workplace. An employee wants to climb the ladder. He doesn't dare upset the boss. He agrees with every opinion, even the unreasonable ones. He works overtime, not for the job, but because he fears disappointing the boss. The boss sees this. The boss knows he needs praise. So the boss uses it as a tool of control. A small compliment makes him work twice as hard. A look of disappointment makes him grovel. He thinks he's striving. But the truth is, he's being controlled. He's not working for himself. He's working for recognition. This is the mechanism of power. No whips needed. No threats required. Just give a little praise, then take it away. The dependent will do more to chase that satisfaction. Machiavelli saw this long ago. He wrote that a ruler cannot rely on blind loyalty, because loyalty isn't real. It's just a mask for the fear of losing favor. A wise prince doesn't need everyone to love him. He only needs to know his subjects fear losing their place. And from that fear, they obey. The same happens in every relationship. You want your friends to like you. You want your partner not to leave. You want your colleagues not to gossip. So you compromise. So you stay silent when you should object. So you smile when you should walk away. All to hold on to that acceptance. But that acceptance isn't real. It's a knife in someone else's hand. And whenever they want, they can turn that blade toward you. Observe yourself. When someone praises you, you feel joy. When someone criticizes you, you feel pain. Those emotions aren't random. They're proof you've placed your power in their hands. If a compliment can lift you up, then a criticism can bring you down. you're not in control. You're just reacting to external acceptance. This is the disease Machiavelli called weakness. Weakness because you can't value yourself. Weakness because your worth depends on others' gazes. Weakness because your power is no longer yours. And when you're weak, you're easily controlled. A clever person will exploit that weakness. They don't need to force you. They just give and withdraw acceptance at the right time. You'll do the rest. That's why Machiavelli emphasized strategic detachment. If you want to hold power, you must escape this game. You must learn to live without needing acceptance. Because when that need dies, others have nothing left to control you with. This is the cold truth. When you want to be liked, you're easily deceived. When you want to be praised, you're easily bribed. When you want to be accepted, you're easily played. Every manipulator knows this. The question is, do you dare face it head on? Part 2. How others manipulate you. Others don't need force to control you. They just need to know how to play with your mind. There are 3 common ways. Flattery. Showing disappointment. Comparing you to others. Each targets the same thing. Your need for recognition. First is flattery. It sounds harmless, but it's a trap. A compliment makes you feel valued. You think they genuinely appreciate you. But in truth, that praise is given to control. A boss might call you a hard worker. The compliment sounds positive, but it also creates an invisible mold. You fear losing that image. So you push harder, even when it's too much. Others know you'll chase that recognition. With just one compliment, they don't need to give orders. The second way is showing disappointment. This is more subtle. No yelling needed. Just a sad look. Just a sigh. You instantly feel you've done something wrong. In love, this is a common weapon. Someone acts cold. They say nothing. They just withdraw their attention. And you start to worry. You wonder what you did wrong. You do more to win back their warmth. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. They're just testing their power. They want to see how far you'll bend. The third way is comparing yourself to others. This strikes at your self-worth. A boss might say, "Look, your colleague did better." A partner might say, "Someone else cares about me more." Comparison creates a sense of lack. It makes you feel less valuable. And when you believe you're less valuable, you try to compensate. You do more. You try harder. You lower yourself to hold your place. These 3 methods differ, but they all rely on one principle. You crave recognition, and others use that craving to control you. If you need recognition, you've handed them the leash to pull you. You become a puppet. They just need to tug lightly. You'll react the way they want. Take the example of love. A man loves a woman. He wants to make her happy. He wants her to love him. She knows this. So she goes silent for a few days. She acts cold and distant. Immediately, he panics. He texts more. He buys gifts. He humbles himself to regain her attention. She doesn't need to threaten. She doesn't need to beg. She just withdrew her acceptance. And he grovels on his own. This is the most dangerous form of manipulation. It's not overt. It's not violent. It happens quietly, within your emotions. And once you're caught in that cycle, it's hard to break free. Because you believe that if you just try harder, things will go back to normal. You don't realize you're being controlled. Machiavelli pointed out a truth. People are easily led when they need approval. A wise ruler doesn't need to reward constantly. He just needs to offer recognition now and then. And the rest, those beneath him, will obey on their own. Look at yourself. How many times have you worked just for praise? How many times have you given in just to avoid disappointing someone? How many times have you pushed beyond your limits just because you were compared? Each time you lost a piece of your freedom, you think you're acting freely. But in truth, you're just reacting to an invisible leash. True power never lies with the one who needs. Power always lies with the one who knows what you need. So stop for a second. Ask yourself a cold question. Have you ever done something against yourself just to avoid losing someone's favor? Part 3. Machiavelli and Strategic Detachment. Machiavelli didn't see emotions as a strength. He saw them as chains. A leader cannot be controlled by feelings. Emotions make you react. Reacting means losing control. In The Prince, he wrote clearly, "Better to be feared than loved, because love depends on others' loyalty. But fear is sustained by the power in your hands." Machiavelli understood human nature. People are fickle. They love you when you bring them benefits. They turn away when those benefits fade. But fear keeps them in line. Fear makes them hesitate to betray. This isn't senseless cruelty. It's strategic clarity. Those swayed by emotions are always at a disadvantage. You get angry and others control you. You crave love, others bind you. You fear being hated, others lead you. Machiavelli chose strategic detachment, not inhumanity, but refusing to let emotions undermine power. Look at a modern CEO. He lays off thousands of employees. The media calls him cold. Workers resent him. Shareholders smile. Profits soar. The company stands strong. If he feared being hated, he would have hesitated. If he tried to please everyone, he would have failed. He chose power over feelings. And the results prove it. It's the same in politics. A leader can't survive by seeking love. The public's loyalty shifts daily. But a leader who instills fear holds power. Strategic detachment creates distance. Distance creates power. Others see only your decisions, not your doubts. They respect you. They tread carefully around you. You can be friendly. You can be kind. But when needed, you must be ready to be cold. That's the resolve to hold power. Machiavelli doesn't teach you to be a monster. He teaches you not to be a slave to emotions. Love if you must, but don't depend on it. Inspire fear if needed, but control it. The wise understand, emotions are a tool. Power is the goal. A leader driven by emotions, it is merely a puppet for others. One who masters strategic detachment controls the board. Punchline, better to be hated and strong than loved and weak. Question for you. Have you ever lost an opportunity just because you feared disappointing someone? Part 4. When you no longer need to please. Freedom doesn't start with money, not with fame, but by cutting the need for praise. You no longer live for a nod of approval. You don't wait for someone to validate your worth. You don't seek recognition in others' eyes. This is liberation. It's sharp. It's cold. But it's true freedom. When you crave praise, you become a hostage. Others only need to withhold their attention, and you fall into anxiety. A like on social media can lift your spirits. But when there's no like, you feel inferior. You become a puppet of virtual feedback. Those who need recognition live in fear. Fear of being ignored. Fear of not standing out. Fear of being forgotten. Those who don't need recognition live like free men. They aren't drawn into the cycle of comparison. They don't need to prove themselves in the crowd's game. Look at social media. Most posts are to be seen, to measure their worth by likes, to feel alive when others hit the heart button. But in reality, it's a prison built on dopamine. Each like is an addictive hit. The like addict will do anything for attention. They're no longer in control. They're being controlled. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote about self-mastery and power. The one who can't be bribed is the most dangerous. And the cheapest bribe is praise. With just a few flattering words, you can control the gullible. They think they're valued. In truth, they're being used. The truly strong don't sell themselves for likability. They know the public's love is fragile. It vanishes the moment interests shift. Remember what Machiavelli emphasized. Better to be feared than loved, because fear lasts longer than love. Those who live to please are fragile. Those who live for self-mastery are formidable. A real-world example. Some CEOs barely care about their personal reputation. They know being hated doesn't matter. What matters is that their company is dominating the market. Jeff Bezos once said, "If you don't want to be criticized, don't do anything new." He's been criticized endlessly. Yet Amazon keeps expanding. And in the end, real power is all that remains. Compare that to those who live for applause. They avoid all conflict. They sacrifice real power to cling to the feeling of being liked. And in the end, they're left with nothing but emptiness. When you stop needing to please, you start becoming the one in control, no longer swayed by others' reactions, no longer held back by fear. You can decide coldly. You can choose the long-term path. You can say no without trembling. This doesn't make you needlessly cruel. It makes you self-possessed. You're no longer manipulated by the social game. You see more clearly who praises you to control you, who hates you because they fear you, who truly respects you. This is the core of strategic freedom. You don't need to make others happy. You don't need to chase approving glances. You don't need to maintain an image in the crowd's mind. You live as Machiavelli advised, prioritizing real power over fleeting emotions, prioritizing self-control over the desire for acceptance. This is the clear dividing line. The weak live to be liked. The strong live so as not to be controlled. When you realize this, you become unpredictable. You're no longer pulled by the crowd. You're no longer bribed with attention. You become a variable others can't predict. In a world where everyone wants to be loved, the one who doesn't need love becomes the most dangerous. If these insights make you see more clearly, hit subscribe to not miss the next content. Part 5. The Cold Strategy: How to Train Yourself. Psychological freedom doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from discipline. If you want to break free from the need for acceptance, you must train. Not once, but over and over, until your mind learns to stand firm under pressure. First strategy: say no without explaining. The weak always add reasons. I'm busy. I can't because... But explanations open the door to negotiation. Others will use logic to break your resolve. The strong say one word: no. Nothing more. Nothing less. A short, cold sentence that ends all attempts to persuade. Second strategy: control your reaction to criticism. Praise warms you. Criticism sets you on fire. But both are handcuffs. If you lash out at criticism, you're controlled. If you depend on praise, you're chained. The free don't flinch at either. You listen. You keep your face cold. You don't need to react to prove your worth. Reacting is a trap. When you stay calm, others see that they can't control you. Third strategy: stay silent instead of justifying. People hate silence. It makes them uneasy. They want you to explain. They want you to defend yourself. But when you stay silent, you gain the upper hand. Silence forces them to face the weakness in their arguments. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to beg for understanding. Silence is the weapon of the powerful. Now put it in a situation. You have a friend. They invite you out, but you don't want to go. You say no. They start guilt-tripping you. I'm sad today, and you won't come. You've changed. You're not the same. The average person would justify. Why would you say that? I'm just tired. Look, I still care. This is the trap. Once you justify, you've accepted their rules. You're playing on their field. What does the cold one do? You stay silent. No reaction. No squirming. A silence heavy as stone. The other feels their power dissolve. They can't control your emotions anymore. They can't keep you in their grip. Eventually, they back off. They see it's pointless to push you. Machiavelli understood this early. He knew that the one who stays calm in silence makes others anxious, because silence creates a void. That void forces others to fill it with their own imagination, and that anxiety drains them. While you sit still. To train, you don't need big moments. Start with small details. Someone asks you to do something you don't like. Say no, short and cold. Someone criticizes you. Keep your face unchanged, no sighs, no excuses. Someone pulls you into an argument. Stay silent as if they said nothing. Each time you're teaching your brain, you're not a puppet. People will call you cold. They'll say you're heartless. Don't care, because that's the proof. Proof that you've escaped their game. The truly self-possessed don't need explanations to exist. The truly strong don't need praise to stand firm. The truly dangerous don't need reactions to prove their power. And this is the core. When you master these 3 strategies, you're not just building discipline. You're forging a presence that makes others think twice before trying to push you. They sense you can't be easily swayed, not easily bribed, not easily moved by cheap psychological tricks. When you reach this level, you don't just escape the need for acceptance. You become the one others tread carefully around. This is invisible power. No threats needed. No shouting required. Just silence, coldness, and resolve. Part 6. The price to pay. You won't be loved by all. When you choose the cold path, you must face the truth. You won't be loved by everyone anymore. You'll make many people uncomfortable because they can no longer control you. Society teaches you to please. Smile. Nod. Say what everyone wants to hear. But when you stop, the truth emerges. Some will turn their backs. Some will hate you. And that's the purification. Those who want you weak will leave. Those who only used you will vanish. Those who truly respect you will stay. You lose nothing. You only shed the false layers that once bound you. Remember Machiavelli? He once served the Florence government. He understood power, strategy, and people. But when the ruling faction changed, he was exiled. He didn't bow. He didn't beg. He stayed cold. He chose truth over pretense. He lost political power. But he left behind a strategy that lives forever. That's the price. You can't be both strong and loved by all. The two exclude each other. If the crowd loves you, you're likely just obeying. If you stand firm in yourself, you'll surely be hated. The question is, what matters more? The comfort of being liked, or the freedom of being respected? The weak choose the first. The strong choose the latter. You need to understand one thing. Being liked is a fleeting emotion. Respect is a lasting foundation. Someone may smile at you today. Tomorrow they will forget you. But respect is different. It runs deep. It holds fast. It doesn't vanish when emotions shift. Living to be liked by all is an illusion. People like you because you're harmless. People like you because you make them comfortable. But the cost is losing yourself. You become a puppet. You smile at others' rhythms. You live in an invisible cage. Choosing coldness means accepting isolation. At first, you'll feel empty. You'll hear criticism. You'll be called selfish, cold, and strange. But over time, you realize, only the truly strong stay. Only those who respect you walk with you. That's the natural filter. That's reality. You can't keep both worlds. Either you are yourself, or you become a puppet to be liked. Machiavelli wrote, "Better to be hated for being yourself." They loved being a puppet. That line cuts like a blade. It slices through the illusions you once carried. If you want real power, you must abandon the need to please. You must learn to let others hate you, and still stand tall, because that's proof you no longer live to serve others' emotions. This isn't an easy path. It's the path of the strong. You must choose to be falsely loved by many, or truly respected by a few. What do you choose? Part 7. The ultimate power, the unassailable position. When you kill the need to please, a new door opens. You step out of the invisible cage. You're no longer imprisoned by others' gazes. The first thing that changes, you stop fearing rejection. That fear was once the iron chain binding you. You feared isolation. You feared being hated. You feared losing support. But when you stop needing to be liked, you escape that control. No one can use hatred to manipulate you anymore. Those who threaten to abandon you become powerless. They no longer hold the key to your cage. This is the turning point of power. The one who doesn't fear loss, he is always the one in command. Those still gripped by fear, they are just pawns on someone else's board. The second thing, you see others' true motives clearly. When you no longer crave to please, you observe with cold eyes. You see the games being played. You recognize praise as a tool. You understand closeness can be a lure. You see through the mask of hypocrisy. This clarity transforms you. You aren't lulled by sweetness. You aren't blinded by flattery. You see people for what they are, not the roles they play. And the third thing, you become the controller, not the controlled. The one who doesn't need approval, defines the rules, sets the standards, draws others into their orbit. This is the unassailable position. When others can't buy you with affection, when they can't control you with fear, you become a gravitational force. Others are forced to revolve around you, whether they like you or hate you. Look at a modern example. A young entrepreneur faces pressure. Shareholders demand instant profits. They want him to cut long-term plans for short-term gains. They threaten to pull funding. They warn he'll collapse. If he feared being hated, if he needed their approval, he'd bow. He'd ruin the long-term path. But he stands firm. He accepts their anger. He doesn't let the need to please dictate his actions. He builds a strategy for 10 years, not 10 days. Time proves him right. He wins big. The shareholders who left fade into oblivion. Those who stayed reap the rewards. And he retains full control. This is the lesson. The one unbound by approval can go the distance. They aren't bent by immediate pressure. They don't sell their soul for praise. The unassailable position isn't a myth. It comes from a cold decision. Kill the need to be liked. Stand firm against the pressure of rejection. No bribing. No permission seeking. No begging. That's true freedom. Freedom isn't getting everything you want. Freedom is the ability to force yourself. And it only comes when you're ruthless enough with yourself. Ruthless enough to extinguish the need for unconditional love. Others may hate you, but they can't topple you. Others may oppose you, but they're forced to respect you. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise ruler chooses to be feared over loved, because fear keeps people in line. Love shifts with the weather. The unassailable position doesn't need love. It demands respect. It demands clarity. It demands you stand outside the game of pleasing. When you reach this point, you become a force. No one can pull you down with contempt. No one can bind you with false affection. Remember this. The need to be liked is a chain. Letting it go is the key. The key to the unassailable position. You may lose many relationships, but what remains will be strong as steel. You may be hated by many, but you'll always be respected by some. And that respect, it is the foundation of true power. Punchline, better to be hated for being yourself. They loved being a puppet. Conclusion, no one can manipulate you. As long as you crave to please, you remain a puppet. The message is simple. The naive chase of being liked. The strong choose freedom. You don't need to be respected by all. You don't need to be loved by all. You only need to hold a position that no one can push. That's true freedom. Not dependent on others' emotions. Not swayed by praise or cold stares. When you kill the need to please, you kill weakness. You start seeing the world as it truly is, not through the lens of expectation, but through the lens of power. You become the one controlling the board. Others are forced to react to you. You're no longer swept into their game. This is the hardest shift. But once you grasp it, you never go back. You'll see your silence makes others uneasy. You'll see that your refusal creates a power gap. And you'll see those who once dismissed you start to tread carefully. A question for you. Are you living to please others? Or are you living to control yourself? Comment your answer below. I want to read it. And if you want to dive deeper into how Machiavelli decoded the game of power, hit subscribe. Check out more analysis videos. The naive want to be liked. The strong want to be free. What's your choice?